going to discuss in-order traversal. These are the steps for performing in-order traversal. The very first step is traversing the left subtree. After traversing the left subtree, it will move on to visiting the root node. After visiting the root node, the third step is traversing the right subtree. So here the very first step is visiting the left node. After visiting the left node, it will visit the root node. After visiting the root node, it will visit the right node. This is the flow. This is the order of visiting the tree with the help of the in-order traversal algorithm. Here, this is the example. We are going to visit all the nodes in the given tree in the given example using the in-order traversal algorithm. The very first node in the tree is the node A, but node A is acting as the root node. According to the step in in-order traversal, the very first step is it is supposed to visit the left subtree, the left node first. So the left node of the node A is B. When we check the node B, again the node B is acting as a root node for the node D and E, so the node B can't be visited. Now move on to the left of B, node D. Again the node D is acting as a root node for the node G and H, so this can't be visited. Move to the left again, the node G. When we check the node G, it is not acting as a root node for any of the node, but it is acting only as the left node for the node D. So the node G can be visited since it is acting as the leftmost node and the left node for the root node D, the node G can be visited. After visiting the node G, G is the left node. Once visiting the left node is over, it is supposed to move to the root node. When we check the root node, the node D is there, so the node D will be visited after visiting the node G. That is root node, left node, and this is root node. After visiting the root node, it has to visit the right node. When we check the right node H, it is acting as the root node for the node L. So when we check H, there is no left node, but there is only right node. So first it will check for the left node. Since there is no left node here, left node can't be visited. So since there is no left node, directly it will come to the root node. So here the H is acting as a root node. After D, the node H will be visited. After visiting the node H is the root node. After visiting the root node, it has to move to the right node. The right node of H is L, so the node L is visited. Now, the left subtree of the node B is visited. Once traversing the left subtree is over, it is supposed to visit the root node. So the root node is B now next. So the node B will be visited. After visiting the left subtree and also after visiting the root node, it is supposed to move on to the right subtree. When we check the right subtree, there is only one node is available, that is E. So now the node E will be visited. When we check now, the entire left subtree is over. Once the entire left subtree is completely over, it is supposed to move on to the root node. Here the root node is A. So now after visiting all the nodes in the left subtree, the root node A will be visited. So this is left subtree. Left subtree is completely over. After visiting the left subtree, it is supposed to visit the root node. So visiting the root node is also over. Now it has to come to the right subtree. When we check the right subtree, the very first rightmost node for the root node A is C. But when we check C, C is not acting only as the right node for the node A, it is acting as a root node for the node F. So the node C can't be visited. So because before we visit the node C, it has to check whether there is, because this is the root node, so whether there is any left node available, it has to check. But when we check, there is no left node available for the node C. So since there is no left node available, left node can't be visited. So now after checking for the left node, it has to move on to the root node. Now the root node is C. After visiting the root node, it has to move to the right node. When we check the right node F, F is acting as a root node for the node I and J. So the node F can't be visited now. Before we visit the root node, it is supposed to visit the left node. So the left node of F is I. When we check I, yes, I is acting only as the left node for the node F, so the node I will be visited now. After visiting the node I is acting as a left node. After visiting the left node, it is supposed to move to the right node, sorry, root node. The root node here is F, so the node F will be visited. After visiting the root node F, it has to move to the right subtree, that is right node. So when we check the right node J is not only acting as a right node for the node F, it is acting as a root node for node K. So before we visit the node J, it is supposed to visit the left node first. So the left of J is K. K is acting as a left node for the root node J. So the node K will be visited, that is left node. After visiting the left node, it is supposed to move on to the root node. The root node of K is J. So the node J will be visited. After visiting the root node, it has to search for the right subtree, but there is no right subtree present. So it can't go further, it can't visit the right node since there is no right node for the node J. Now when we check, the entire right subtree is also over, there is no more node to visit. So here left subtree is over, visiting the left subtree is over, visiting the root node is also over, and also visiting the right subtree is also over. And this is the solution. This is the order. This is how the nodes, this is the order in which the nodes will be visited with the help of the in-order traversal algorithm. And this is the pseudo code. So when the tree is not null, when the tree is not empty, the procedure can be applied, the steps can be applied. Totally 3 steps are there. The very first step is traversing the left subtree. Once the traversing the left subtree is completely over, it will print the root data in the root. Visit the root node. After traversing the left subtree, the second step is visiting the root node. After visiting the root node, it will move on to the right subtree. Then after visiting each node in the right subtree, the algorithm will end. Thank you.